Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. UFC 262 is this Saturday. I am so excited for this card. Even though we lost some fights along the way, we lost Jack Hermanson versus Edmund Shabazian, which I was really looking forward to. We also lost Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards, which was originally supposed to be the 5-round co-main event, the first one ever. That got moved to UFC 263 next month. But the card is still a fairly decent card. I've already put out my prediction video for the main event, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler for the vacant lightweight title. I'll put the link in the description. Make sure you guys go check that one out. But this is going to be my breakdown and prediction for Tony Ferguson versus Beniel Dariush, which is the co-main event now. Um, I'm excited to see Tony Ferguson back in action, and I'm excited for Beniel Dariush. He's finally getting a step up in competition, and we get to see how this one plays out. And I'm just going to give it to you right off the bat. My prediction is going to be Tony Ferguson with a third-round TKO. Tony Ferguson, he's coming in on a 2-fight losing streak. But those last 2 fights, in December, he fought Charles Oliveira and got dominated. And I think it was April or March, maybe. I think it was April. He fought Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight title. And he got outstruck by Gaethje, beat fairly handedly. And since his last 2 losses have been so dominant, a lot of people have been dancing on Tony Ferguson's grave. Oh, he's done. He's got nothing left, blah, blah, blah. And I don't buy that for 1 second. I know a lot of people believe it, but for me personally, I don't believe it for 1 second. The last 2 fights that he's had, I picked against him in both of those fights. But those are 2 of the best guys in the world. Justin Gaethje is an absolute maniac, an amazing fighter. Charles Oliveira, the same. I'm a huge believer in both of those guys. And it just wasn't Tony Ferguson night against those 2 elite guys. I'm really sad, even though I know what the outcome would have been. I knew it far before Ferguson lost these last 2 fights. I'm really sad that we're going to never get Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson. It was just a fight that just never was meant to be, apparently. But it just disturbs me that we're truly never going to get it. But let's get into some of the specifics for this fight. Dariush is 5'10", Tony Ferguson is 5'11", so basically the same height. Dariush's reach is 72 inches, while Tony Ferguson's is 76.5 inches. So Tony Ferguson has a significant reach advantage. I think it's 4.5 inches. And I really think the tale of this fight is going to be Dariush's grappling versus Tony Ferguson's pace and striking. Because Tony Ferguson is so unorthodox, and he is just a nasty pressure fighter. He's just going to come forward at all times, throwing a million different combinations. He doesn't really have that one-punch KO power that you see from a lot of guys, but he is so I don't even know what the word for it is. I guess aggressive, and the pace that he puts on some of these guys is just incredible. And Dariush, don't get me wrong, he has some great striking. He has some decent power. We've seen in his fight with Drakkar Klose, which was absolute crazy fight. He got hurt badly, started backing up. Then he clipped Drakkar, hurt Drakkar, and just immediately went after him and finished him off. Landed a massive left hand. Mouthpiece was coming out of Klose's mouth and everything. Beautiful stoppage. And since then, Dariush has been begging for a step up in competition. And he's finally going to get it against Tony Ferguson. But I think at Tony Ferguson, Dariush is coming in on a 6-fight win streak. Dariush has never fought someone the caliber of Tony Ferguson. And I know Tony Ferguson is 37 years old, but I still think he has a lot of fight left in him. People don't realize, he lost these last 2 fights, but before that, he was on a 12-fight win streak against some good guys, too. And I think basically what's going to happen is I think Dariush is going to come out looking to grapple, similar to what he did in his Diego Ferreira fight. Look for takedowns, push him up against the cage. And I think he'll probably get Tony down. Tony's weakness has always been his takedown defense. I'll never forget Danny Castillo absolutely dominating him. This was years ago, maybe 2014 or something like that. Taking him down and holding him down. When I say dominating him, I mean in the wrestling aspect. And this is one aspect of the fight that I really wanted to hone in on, is Tony Ferguson, and this is what made the Khabib fight so interesting, is he's so unwilling to accept the position. He is going to be looking for elbows from guard. He's going to be looking for up kicks if possible. He's going to be attacking submission. He's just not willing to accept the position. And Dariush, I noticed, especially in that Diego fight, he starts to wear down and get a little sloppy, especially in the guard. And I think Tony, I think maybe first, second round ish, Dariush may be able to get him down, land some ground and pound, but Tony is going to be striking off his back, looking for submissions, trying to roll out of it, looking for scrambles. And Dariush tends to fade. And we know one thing about Tony Ferguson, it doesn't matter how old he gets, that man will never fade. Never. His stamina is unbelievable. One of the best cardio guys in the entire UFC. You could put him up really against anyone, and he has just as good cardio as anybody in the UFC. And so maybe first round, round and a half, maybe even 2 rounds, Dariush may get him down, but Tony's not going to accept the position, really make him work, and Dariush starts to fade. And I think what's going to happen is in that third round, maybe tail end of the second round, the takedowns aren't going to come as easy for Dariush because Dariush is going to be more tired. Ferguson is still going to be, 100% basically because his stamina, he never wears down in any of his fights. And I think Tony's really going to start turning it up on him and really just pressing him and landing combination after combination. And I just think Dariush is just not going to be able to keep up with the pace. And even when he lands on Tony Ferguson, because Dariush does have some power, he doesn't have this crazy one-punch power, but, he can put guys to sleep, as we've seen in the Jakar Close fight. But Tony is so durable and has such a chin. I mean, there's been so many times where he's been landed on so hard and just ate him. I mean, I'll never forget the short notice fight he took against Lando Venata. He ate many punches in that fight, hard punches that would have put anyone else down, and he just kept coming forward. He's only ever been stopped one time by punches, by TKO, and that was against Justin Gaethje last year for the interim lightweight title. And Justin Gaethje, I mean, he landed so many hard punches in that fight, and it was just a matter of time. It ended up being a 5th-round stoppage. It was a standing TKO. Ferguson just couldn't take anymore. He took so many hard punches. And I think he may eat 1 or 2 in this fight because Beniel does mix it in very well, and he has a great left hand. He has a great jab. But as the fight goes on, he's going to wear down. So I think Beniel probably wins the first round. I think the second round may go 50-50 because I think Tony may start to take over towards the end of the second round. And I think the third round, Tony is just going to come out there. And Tony is an absolute maniac. No matter what's going on in the fight, even when he was outright dominated by Charles Oliveira, he was still trying to fight till the tail end, and there's no give up in Tony Ferguson. It's a strength, but it's almost a weakness for him because he took a lot of damage against Justin Gaethje that a lot of guys would have been finished in the second round or so. And also a lot of times people don't mention this and forget this because of the performance that Gaethje put on in that fight. Tony Ferguson almost stopped Justin Gaethje. If you remember at the end of the first round, I believe it was an uppercut. And it was borderline a flash KO. He hurt Justin Gaethje badly, right as the bell rung. If he wouldn't have been saved by the bell, this could have been a whole totally different discussion. Tony Ferguson could have been interim champion last year and ended up fighting Khabib finally, but obviously that wasn't meant to be. It didn't happen. But even if Beniel lands, I just think Tony can eat it. And I think Beniel is great at mixing stuff up. He's great at mixing in the striking, takedown, the clinch work. He's a very great, well-rounded fighter. But I think the pace of Tony Ferguson is just going to be way too much for him. And I just think come the end of that second round, come the end of that third round, Tony's going to sense it, and he's going to come out. He's really going to put a pressure stop. I mean, Tony, no matter what, first, second, third, fourth, fifth round, Tony is always pressuring guys. But especially in this third round when he sees Dariush with his mouth open, breathing heavily, and Tony's ready to go. It doesn't matter if Tony's cut up, covered in blood. It doesn't matter what's going on with him. He's going to come forward, and he's going to be throwing combinations. I just don't think, again, I said Beniel would probably get him down the first, maybe second round. I don't think Beniel Dariush has the ability to submit Tony Ferguson. Don't get me wrong. Dariush has great grappling, great jiu-jitsu, but so does Tony Ferguson. And if Charles Oliveira, I mean, he basically had Tony down for 15 minutes. He took him down each round. He held him down each round. If Charles Oliveira can't submit Tony Ferguson, then nobody's submitting Tony Ferguson in my eyes. And I know Charles Oliveira had that arm bar where he cranked the arm underneath the armpit, hyperextended the elbow, and Tony just refused to tap and continued to lose by decision. But if Charles Oliveira can't submit him, then Beniel Dariush can't submit him. I don't think, I mean, Tony does have slick submissions, but I don't think he's going to submit Dariush. I just really believe in that third round TKO, maybe even a late second round TKO. And I think this is going to be a very telling fight. It's where does Tony Ferguson go from here? Because if he loses, can you imagine a world where Tony Ferguson is on a 3-fight losing streak? That would be absolutely insane. From a 12-fight winning streak to a 3-fight losing streak. Now, and I just don't see a way that can happen. I feel like a lot of people are probably going to pick Dariush. A lot of people are skeptical of Tony Ferguson after these last 2 fights, but I'm just not buying into it at all. Tony Ferguson has shown a very long history of being an elite fighter, beating great guys. I mean, before, he lost his last 2 fights, he was on a 12-fight win streak. And he beat Kevin Lee, he beat Anthony Pettis, he beat RDA, which was an absolute spectacular performance. And I know that was a couple more years ago. But those were great wins, Kevin Lee, he beat for the interim title. And Kevin Lee, similar scenario to what I'm predicting for this fight, Kevin Lee was able to take him down and beat him up in the first round. And actually, I believe had him full mounted at the end of the first round, if I remember correctly. I might be off on that. But either way, he had him, on the ground, and it was just pounding on him brutally. And that second round came out, and Kevin Lee was tired from winning, the first and maybe second round, I think it was. And Kevin Lee ends up getting submitted, I believe, in the third round. Yep, in the third round, Kevin Lee was submitted. He got tired. He wasn't able to keep the pace with Tony Ferguson, and he ended up getting submitted. He ended up being sloppy on the ground and being submitted. And I think that's a possibility too, just because Tony, when he presses forward, I'm predicting a TKO. But if he drops Beniel Dariush, he may look for a guillotine. He may look for a Darce choke. He loves the Darce choke. He may use the striking to set up a submission, because I really don't think in pure jiu-jitsu, when maybe Dariush is fresh in Tony's guard, I don't think Tony's going to be able to submit him. Dariush is just too good on the ground for that. But I think, if Dariush is hurt badly, I think there's a chance that Tony can potentially submit him. And I just hope, usually I strictly try to pick these fights. Ever since I started this channel, I've tried to pick these fights purely based on who I think is going to win. Not because, okay, I want this guy to win. Obviously, there's always a partial bias. When you're a huge MMA fan, you obviously have guys you like more than other guys, and you want certain guys to win. But my predictions are purely based on who I think is going to win the fight, based on everything that I can look back at and try to predict the future. And I just really think Tony is going to do it, but I also want Tony to do it badly. I really want him to win. I do not want to see a world where Tony Ferguson's on a 3-fight losing streak. I just can't see it. And also, one last thing I want to mention, because I usually mention it in all my prediction videos. If you look at the resume of Beniel Dariush, don't get me wrong, he has some great wins, okay? Some spectacular performances. But the resume leaves a lot to be desired. His best win is probably Carlos Diego Ferreira, which we just seen. We just seen him lose to Gregor Gillespie last weekend, I believe it was. I mentioned it early in the video. Beniel Dariush has wanted to step up in competition. He's finally getting against Tony Ferguson. But the reason he wants to step up in competition is because he's been fighting guys, nobody near the top 10. Meanwhile, Tony Ferguson has been fighting some of the best guys in the division for years and years and years. Josh Thompson, Edson Barboza, Lando Venata, okay, forget Lando Venata, but RDA, Kevin Lee, and Anthony Pettis, all at relevant times in their respective careers. So I think that's notable too, and I think the step up to Tony Ferguson is going to be too much for Dariush. Again, third round TKO for Tony Ferguson is my prediction. Comment down below. Let me know your prediction for this co-main event. Make sure you like the video. If you enjoy these breakdown and predictions, I've been putting in a lot of work doing these videos, researching, watching old fights to really give the best prediction and analysis that I can give, not just throwing it together last minute. So make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Let me know what fight you're most excited for on Saturday night. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.